All right, let's talk about a term you've probably heard a million times: deep learning. It's everywhere, right? So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and really figure out what it is. Let's get into it.
It's funny. This tech is already so integrated into our lives, you might not even notice it. I mean, think about it. Unlocking your phone with your face. The shows that pop up on your streaming service? That's it. It's working behind the scenes, analyzing the world pretty much all the time. And yeah, it can totally feel like magic. Just poof, your phone unlocks. But it's not magic. So the big question is, how does it actually work? Let's break it all down.
Okay, first things first, let's get right to the fundamentals. There are a lot of buzzwords floating around, but we're going to slice right through them and get to the core of what deep learning really is. Let's go back to that phone example. Seriously, take a second. How does your phone know it's your face and not, say, your brother's or your friend's? It seems so simple, but that little moment is one of the best, most common examples of deep learning doing its thing. So here's the textbook definition, but let's make it simple. Deep learning is basically a branch of machine learning. And what it does is use these things called artificial neural networks. The whole idea is to model them after our own brains so they can learn from just enormous, massive amounts of data. All right, to really get a grip on deep learning, you kind of have to see the bigger picture. We've all heard the terms AI and machine learning thrown around, right? So let's figure out where deep learning fits into all that. Okay, this is the perfect way to think about it. It's like those Russian nesting dolls. The biggest doll on the outside, that's artificial intelligence, or AI. That's the whole giant concept of smart machines. You open it up, and inside you've got machine learning, which is a part of AI where machines learn from data. And then you open that one, and right there at the very center, the smallest, most powerful core, that's deep learning. It's the part that uses those super complex neural networks to tackle the really tough problem. So we've got it placed on the map. We know it's the core of the nesting doll. But what's actually happening inside that artificial brain? Let's pop the hood and see how these things really think. The name deep learning isn't just a cool buzzword. The deep part literally means something. It's all about the depth of the neural network. See, a really basic network might only have a couple of hidden layers to process information, but a deep one, we're talking about stacking more and more and more layers between the input and the output, sometimes hundreds of them. And that depth, that's the secret sauce. That's what lets it handle way more complex stuff. This is a great, simple way to picture how the training works. Let's say you want to build a model that knows about birds. So what do? First, you just flood it with thousands and thousands of pictures of birds, all labeled. Then, as all that info flows through the network, each layer starts to specialize. Maybe the first layer just looks for simple edges. The next one might learn to spot the shape of a beak. Another one focuses on the texture of feathers. And by the time the data gets all the way to the end, the system has learned enough to tell the subtle difference between, say, a crow and a raven. Pretty cool, right? And really, that's the fundamental rule here. It's a simple idea, but it's incredibly powerful. The more layers you have, and the more data you feed it, the smarter and more accurate it gets. When it comes to deep learning, scale is absolutely everything. Okay, that's enough of the technical stuff for a minute. Let's bring this back to the real world. Because this technology isn't just some experiment happening in a lab somewhere. Oh no, it is out here right now, changing the way we live. So where are you bumping into deep learning every single day? Let's count them down. We're going to look at 5 huge ways it's already making a massive impact. First up, social media. Ever wonder how it knows exactly what ads to show you or what video to recommend next? Yep, that's deep learning. Then there's finance. It's like an invisible security guard spotting weird credit card charges in the blink of an eye to stop fraud. In healthcare, this is a huge deal. It's helping doctors analyze scans and patient data to catch diseases way earlier. It's also on the front lines of cybersecurity, sniffing out new and nasty digital threats. And of course, your digital assistants. Every time you ask Siri or Alexa a question, it's deep learning that's figuring out what you just said. But, and this is a big but, it's not perfect. Not by a long shot. To really get the full picture, we have to be honest about its limits and the really big challenges we're facing as this tech gets more and more powerful. So what are the roadblocks? Well, for one, these models are so data hungry. They need just mountains of data to get trained, and that can be really expensive. Second, they're what you might call one-trick ponies. A model that's a genius at identifying birds has absolutely no clue what a cat is. It can't generalize. And maybe the biggest one,
Its decision-making can be a total black box. It gives you an answer, but good luck figuring out how it got there. That's a huge problem for trust. And this really hits the nail on the head. We're talking about the black box problem. The network chews through millions of data points, spits out an answer, but trying to follow its logic and see how it made that choice, it can be next to impossible. And you can see why that's a massive deal when we're talking about using this for really important, high-stakes decisions. Which leads us to a really critical question for the future. Deep learning is moving at lightning speed. These models are learning and acting more and more on their own. So the big challenge for all of us is this. As these incredibly powerful systems get smarter and smarter, how do we make sure that we can always understand their choices? And maybe more importantly, how can we be sure we can always trust them? Definitely something to think about.